York tries for some small semblance of normality as more of Lower Manhattan reopens.
I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you. And the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
Commander-in-Chief rallies his people and warns their enemies.
And at vigils across the country, a sea of candles, a river of tears. From CNN Center in Atlanta, I'm Jonathan Mann.
And I'm Zain Verji. This is CNN's continuing coverage of America's new war.
We begin with a key discovery, a first arrest, and the latest estimate of just how many people have been killed. First, the find in the wreckage of United Flight 93 near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Search crews located the cockpit voice recorder Friday night. The recorder is designed to capture the last 30 minutes of cockpit conversation. It could reveal whether passengers tried to regain control of the hijacked jetliner.
At approximately 8:25 p.m. this evening, the voice data recorder was recovered by investigators in the crater. It was approximately 25 feet below the surface. It is believed it is apparently in fairly good condition. It is already on its route, en route to the NTSB location to be analyzed.
The plane's flight data recorder was recovered Thursday. The cockpit voice recorder from the plane that targeted the Pentagon has also been found. Now word it's badly damaged. It has been sent to its manufacturer in hopes that some information can be retrieved. The flight data recorder also has been found at the Pentagon site.
Several developments at the World Trade Center in New York City, including staggering new figures. Although the official death toll has risen to 185, 4,717 people are missing. Now more than 13,000 tons of debris has been removed, taken to a site where investigators are combing through the rubble for clues. Parts of Lower Manhattan will reopen on Saturday. Pedestrians, buses and subways will be able to enter the area east of Broadway, but no cars yet. Meanwhile, authorities say they have made their first arrest in the investigation.
That's right. The man in custody is described as a material witness. CNN's Mike Betcher has more on the FBI investigation.
4,000 special agents chasing 36,000 leads and circulating to 18,000 law enforcement agencies a growing list of people they want to question.
The Federal Bureau of Investigation has also forwarded a list of more than 100 names to numerous law enforcement organizations. These are the names of individuals the FBI would like to talk to because we believe they may have information that could be helpful to the investigation.
Another FBI list, this one made public. The 19 men who the FBI says were the hijackers of the 4 aircraft. 7 of the men were pilots, according to CNN terrorism analyst Peter Bergen. 13 of them have recognizable Saudi tribal names from the west and southwest of Saudi Arabia, an area where bin Laden has recruited.
According to a source familiar with the bin Laden organization, men returning from Afghanistan who had trained with bin Laden arrived in Saudi Arabia in recent weeks and were talking about some kind of big operation that was imminent.
The FBI searched this apartment in San Diego, where in those final stages, Monday before the attack, 3 men left town in a hurry.
They had the truck right here and they was moving out. Did that seem like you were leaving anywhere? I mean, I never seen nobody move at midnight.
The trail of another accused hijacker, Mohammed Atta, in the months before the attack, led from Hamburg, Germany, to Florida and a series of flight schools, rental car agencies, and apartments. Then back to Hamburg, a return to Florida, and a final trip to New England, where he boarded a Boston to Los Angeles flight that eventually crashed into the World Trade Center. U.S. intelligence sources tell CNN the entire terrorist operation required so many people and special skills that they believe several terrorist groups had to be involved. Egyptian Islamic Jihad, led by this man, Ayman Zawahiri, a close bin Laden associate, is one of the groups getting close scrutiny by U.S. analysts. They were photographed together about 3 years ago in Afghanistan. A second man who has not been seen in more than 20 years is also being scrutinized. Imad Mughniya, who is suspected by U.S. officials of masterminding a string of terrorism attacks against Americans, including the 1983 suicide bombing of the U.S. Marine barracks in Beirut that killed 241, has had numerous contacts with bin Laden since 1994, including face-to-face contact in the Sudan at an Islamic conference. This, according to Western and Mideast intelligence sources. A founding member of Lebanese Hezbollah, Mughniyeh is believed living in Iran. U.S. officials remain convinced that bin Laden was behind Tuesday's attack, but believe the day's mega-terrorism marked the debut of a new, larger, and more dangerous organization, a group with many heads and many faces. Mike Betcher, CNN, Atlanta.
Rescue and recovery efforts in New York City were hampered by weather Friday. Rain made the already dangerous rubble slick and heavy and kicked up clouds of dust. Frustrated workers should be able to continue full speed in the hours to come. Forecasts are now calling for sunny skies. For more on what's going on in New York, we turn to Garrick Utley. Garrick?
Thank you, Jonathan. The sunny sky, or at least the sun, should be coming up shortly on this Saturday morning. Right now, it's shortly after 4 a.m. in the morning. Most New Yorkers are asleep, but the one part of the city that certainly isn't sleeping, as the old cliche and saying goes, is Lower Manhattan, the site of the devastation on Tuesday. By now, a very familiar picture, and Alessio Vinci is there on the scene. Alessio.
Well, Garrick, from far away, the site where the two World Trade Center towers once stood looked like a giant Hollywood set, but no movie's been made down there, and everything is real, beginning with the tireless work of thousands of rescue workers determined to find somebody alive and frustrated that so far what they have found mostly are body parts. The latest count, 185 dead people, 408 body parts, but everything and everybody here expects that the final number to be in the thousands, and certainly there are thousands of body bags that are on the ready, being ordered here. We understand as much as 10,000 body bags ready here to collect those bodies. 4,717 are the people still missing, and the rescue workers there tirelessly digging to that mountain pile of rubble must believe that somewhere down there must be at least even one person alive, perhaps in an air pocket or underneath a big, large piece of concrete. And as you see from these pictures, 4 days after the collapse of the two towers, there's still a big smoke coming out of the rubble. The iron there still smoldering, and perhaps a few fires here and there still burning. The rescue operation is still proceeding 24 hours a day. The rescue workers working.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I think we've lost our sound connection with Alessio Vinci down there at the site of the World Trade Center. There's another site which will be active tomorrow. It's about 20, 30 blocks away from where the attack took place. It's an armory. Perhaps there's a bit of an irony there that an armory built to store weapons has become a meeting place for people to gather and commune and really create communities. They are families, relatives, friends of those lost in the disaster coming to exchange information. It'll be up and open and filled with people tomorrow, and our Jody Ross is right there now to give us an indication of what can be expected. Jody?
That's true, Garrick. Tomorrow morning, the Army will reopen at around 8 a.m. And if it's anything like today, which I'm sure it will be packed with people from very early in the morning looking for, again, missing friends and family members. Andre's going to show you behind me that the posters remain, the pictures and the signs. That's something that happens even after the hours here of the Armory have closed. People still coming by to put up pictures and signs about their loved ones, hoping that if you recognize a face, see somebody you think you've seen before, that you might be able to help. And that's what keeps this area sort of alive and active even when it's quiet and late at night as it is right now. People continue to come by to look at these signs. It's impossible not to stare at them, impossible not to read them, to take in some of the information, feel some of the sadness for the family and the friends. And that continues to happen even at this late hour. We still see people around. Candles remain lit from the nationwide vigil that started tonight at 7 p.m. And we've been here now for 2 days. I've been here for 2 nights, and you'd think that these stories would sort of start to blend together, become difficult to separate. You know what? That's not the case. each story, each person that I've spoken to has their own individual sad tale to tell, and quite frankly, they're unforgettable. So all the searching and all the activity begins again tomorrow morning early here at the Armory in New York City. Garrick, back to you.
Thank you very much, Jody Ross, on the scene there. And we'll be back a little bit more about what's happening in New York a little later in the program. Back to you now, Zane.
Garrick, thanks. Well, the victims and their families were the focus of Friday's National Day of Prayer and Remembrance, designated by U.S. President George W. Bush. At the National Cathedral in Washington, patriotic songs led the way as Mr. Bush joined 4 past presidents and other dignitaries in a display of grief and an attempt to comfort. Here are some sounds and pictures from that event.
Those of us who are gathered here, Muslim, Jew, Christian, Sikh, Buddhist, Hindu, all people of faith, want to say to this nation and to the world that love is stronger than hate, and that love lived out in justice will in the end prevail.
Today we gather to be reassured that God hears the lamenting and bitter weeping of Mother America, because so many of her children are no more.
With broken and humble hearts, and with tears in our eyes, we turn to you, our Lord, to give us comfort. Help us in our distress. Keep us together as people of diverse faiths, colors, and races. Keep our country strong for the sake of the good and righteousness.
My prayer today is that we will feel the loving arms of God wrapped around us, and will know in our hearts that He will never forsake us as we trust in Him.
On this National Day of Prayer and Remembrance, we ask Almighty God to watch over our nation and grant us patience and resolve in all that is to come. As we've been assured, neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth can separate us from God's love. May He bless the souls of the departed. May He comfort our own. And may He always guide our country. God bless America.
Elsewhere in the nation, the mood was no less somber, no different, in fact. In the western city of Seattle, candles flickered gently in a nighttime vigil as hundreds paid tribute to the lives lost and affected by the terrorist attacks. Across the country, in the eastern state of Rhode Island, crowds of mourners gathered under a huge American flag to pay their respects to the victims of the attacks. And in Washington, a candlelight vigil complemented the service that was held earlier at the National Cathedral.